The Houston Rockets are reportedly ready to sign Kevin Durant to a contract extension, with Tari Eason less certain to actually get an extension for the Houston Rockets. What does that mean? We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, the Suns plan on being intentional with Mark Williams' workload, and the Grizzlies are currently in a big man crisis. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Hayes. More importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And reportedly, the Houston Rockets are prepared to get that extension done with Kevin Durant, but it seems like Tari Eason may have to go the long route in regards to that and may have to see how it plays out in restricted free agency. The Houston Rockets, which did reach a contract extension with Jabari Smith this offseason after trading for Kevin Durant, which is really good. But it's now reportedly seen as likely that Durant is going to get a contract extension with the Rockets. We did hear earlier in the offseason that neither the Rockets or Durant are seeking a max level contract extension, right? He is eligible to sign a 2-year, $122 million extension, but it seems like as it stands right now, that they're not expected to have that be the full max there. He is eligible from now until June 30th, so throughout the entirety of the season, they could do that. And while Tari Eason right now, the fourth-year forward who is eligible to sign an extension up until October 20th, right, which puts it right underneath a month until he's eligible to sign that extension, seems right now that there is nothing close on getting an extension done with the Houston Rockets for Tari Eason, and that more than likely that would mean that he's going to have to see that play out in restricted free agency. Now, as far as the Kevin Durant side of things, I mean, I think you trade for a player like Kevin Durant, you're going to want them on more than a 1-year rental, even though I would say that what the Houston Rockets gave up for Kevin Durant isn't crazy, but because they did have Jalen Green locked into an extension, you gave up Dylan Brooks as well, in that, you know, it makes some sense to have more than a 1-year runway with Kevin Durant. How long that extension is going to be, we shall see. But it seems like an extension is going to be coming for Kevin Durant. It makes sense. This is a team that's hoping they're going to be able to compete. And while they do have some questions now about their point guard situation and potential, Kevin Durant, they're probably going to want to shore that up. Now, as far as Tari Eason, it makes it more interesting, right? Because now that, you know, it's heard that Tari Eason is not probably going to get an extension, you know, if the Houston Rockets do want to make a trade for a point guard, somebody like Tari Eason could be one of the players that's on the move to facilitate and get that done. I say could be because not necessarily 100% fact or truth that it will end up being a Tari Eason that's moved, or that they even do make a move. We had an episode actually on the channel, to talk about the different options that the Houston Rockets have ahead of them to address their point guard situation. And they could very well hope that Reed Shepherd's going to be ready to go and step into that role. He is a player that they did draft 3rd overall for something like that. So it could be that they're looking at. So, you know, we'll see ultimately where it does end up. But the Rockets, you know, they're a team that, you know, wants to try to not go into that second tax apron. That's definitely something that they're trying to avoid. And so because of that, them playing kind of coy with the Tari Eason extension, and as other things happen, could be waiting to see how this season plays out. Now, Eason's going to have still, I would hope, that a big role for this team and what he does bring in transition and defensively as well. And you saw that he had pretty solid numbers as a starter last year. He didn't start a lot of games, but over 15 points per game as a starter. But he hasn't necessarily developed in the way maybe that some people are hoping for, which could lead to the question here. And we'll just see how it ends up playing out. But for what it's worth, Tari Eason is not expected to sign a contract extension before the deadline with the Houston Rockets, which would mean that he's going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. And as we've seen how restricted free agency is played out this year, we'll see if it plays out the same way. I think they're going to be kind of more proven names out as restricted free agent next offseason. There are also more teams with money that could be likely to spend that money. So that could all lead it to where restricted free agency isn't going to be as detrimental as what has been like Quentin Grimes, Cam Thomas, and Jonathan Kuminga up until this point. As a matter of fact, the only kind of big name restricted free agent was Josh Giddey, who did get his $100 million deal. I don't really expect it to be, you know, that dire next season for the restricted free agents, but you just never know how the market's going to play out. So we shall see how that works out. But from that to another player that's going to be your free agent next year, and that is Mark Williams, right? Who has had tons of injuries over his career, right? His injury history has been crazy. He was almost traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, would have got them that lob threat big that they do need with Luka Doncic. That trade ended up rescinded due to the physical. They couldn't pass and stuff like that. And so now you look at it. Mark Williams is coming off a career-high 44 games played last season, over 7-foot center, but, it comes down to it. Now, the Suns coach Jordan Ott said this: "We know Mark's history and we're trying to change it. We're taking an approach. He's been out here and has been good. This is September 26th. Definitely added some strength to him. You can see it when he walks in the building. He definitely has great size. Excited to see where he goes, but we still have a couple of more weeks. He's in a good place. We want Mark to know we care about him this year and going forward, so we have a really intentional plan for him." Now, they did draft Kaman Malawash as well, who does project to maybe be a really good defensive center in the league and could be a center that eventually replaces Mark Williams and is a more long-term option for the Phoenix Suns. They also drafted Rasheer Fleming, another kind of defensive-minded 3/4, maybe even play some small ball 5 over the course of his career, has a great ability to stretch the floor, and he's a really good shot blocker too. So, we'll see what the future holds for Mark Williams with the Phoenix Suns, but at least as it stands right now, they do plan to slow burn him. They have a plan. They want to be intentional about his usage this year because, and not to say that the Phoenix Suns are necessarily fighting for the most this upcoming year. We'll wait and see how, when they get on the court, how good they look comparative in the Western Conference. But you do want to maintain your guys. You want your guys as healthy as possible, and especially when you could be faced to make a contract decision on Mark Williams sooner rather than later, that you want to, have the full kind of picture of what you're going to do there, not only so you can offer him the contract, but you also know the risk that you're taking. He's also a restricted free agent at the end of this year. And if Mark Williams can put together a healthy season, the numbers have always kind of looked solid for Mark Williams. If he can just be healthy, there could be teams that are willing to take, a risk on him because it would still be looked at as a risk because of his injury history. But what's the money going to look like? He's currently playing out the last year of his rookie scale deal at $6.2 million. So, the Suns are going to want to take a look at that. Opposing teams that could be interested are going to want to take a look at how all that works out. And we'll just see how it falls for the Phoenix Suns and Mark Williams in the future. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. Last stop before we get out of here on this Sunday today, the Grizzlies currently right now are in an injury crisis when you look at it. When you look at it, a turf toe injury for Jaren Jackson, which we don't know exactly how he's going to be out for that time. You got Zach Edey, who re-aggravated an ankle injury as well, coming off his solid rookie season as well. And you got more knee injuries for Brandon Clarke. So where it stands right now, the Memphis Grizzlies have no healthy bigs as it stands right now. And reportedly that they are betting on Santiago Dama to make a pretty big leap for them this year. Zach Edey underwent surgery in June to fix that injury in his left ankle. And as of September 26th, he's expected to be out 6 to 9 weeks, which is going to put him out at the beginning of the season, at least to mix. Jaren Jackson Jr., who had his procedure in July on turf toe, is expected to return in 4 to 6 weeks as well, which means he's going to miss the start of preseason and maybe the first week or two of the season as well. And so when you look at it, the best case scenario for both of them is them to be cleared towards the end of October, right? So, we'll see what happens there. Brandon Clarke has that, he recovered from a PCL injury. He's going under a situation for his knee as well. He's not even going to be reevaluated for another 6 weeks. So that means that right now, even if no setbacks expose themselves between now and their timeline, that they're dealing with some pretty serious injuries, and they don't have a lot of reinforcements to look at that. So they are now pivoting and looking at Aldama to come off to follow up on his most productive season so far, averaging 12.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And, we've already kind of seen that. He signed a 3-year, $52 million contract extension to stay with the Memphis Grizzlies. So that means that they do see the importance of keeping him around. And this is probably why, right? Like, to not have any bigs. You already got rid of Desmond Bane, which is going to be a pretty large change to your team. You have no healthy bigs to start off the season, which we've already, there's a lot of bigs right now that are hurt around the NBA, or teams that are going to be lacking bigs. So it's the Grizzlies lineup and matchups to start off the season are already going to be interesting. Now, for what it's worth, they did get Jock Landale as well, in a move with Atlanta. So, he's another guy that could provide some depth there for them at that big rate. But again, he's not a guy that's had a heavy workload or usage rate over his career. So we'll see. Santiago Dama is set up to be a nice player, though, for the Memphis Grizzlies, and his game is complementary to what they already have going on there. So now you'll see what you have there, right? Ty Jerome, they got as well, that could be, better than Desmond Bane. You'll see what ends up happening there, right? So overall, there's some questions of what's going to happen here, and we'll see. But the Grizzlies are a very intriguing team. Not only did they get Cedric Howard, a guy that a lot of people were high on in this draft, after moving on from Desmond Bane, they got other guys that, just G.G. Jackson looked more like his rookie year. There's big questions there. And now you throw in the health aspect of it, which has already been a factor for the Grizzlies over the last few years, is health and availability and things like that. So they're dealing with that now seemingly yet again. So where's that going to lead them? We shall see as the season goes on. But you guys can let me know how you feel and think about all that down below. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything everything NBA related. And make sure you guys are following us, man. We'll catch you guys on the next one. The next time I feel like making a video, probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.